Hello, this is Bonfire 300. I'm just putting up this quick blog post just because, well, I was just at the Best Buy Gaming Invasion event. Great fun there. Basically a huge marketing stunt. A bunch of companies just letting out early demos of games. All of them were coming out within a month, and I decided I basically got a hands-on preview of them all. So I figured I might as well share what I experienced, give my pros and cons about these. Some of the more standout games in the show. There wasn't really a whole lot that was bad. I just feel like explaining everything that I found just stood out for me. Anyways, first of all, you have Resistance 2. If you've talked to me, you know that I really didn't like the first Resistance very much, which was all the more surprising because Resistance 2 was quite enjoyable. And I'm a person who typically doesn't enjoy the single player in any first-person shooter, with the exception of Metroid Prime and Portal, but then again, they're not really shooters. Also, I liked Half-Life 2 and Painkiller, things like that, but aside from the point. Anyways, Resistance 2, it still doesn't really strike that level of true atmospheric fun, but it was very impressive. The level design, I found the actual visual design of the levels is fantastic. The first one, I found it was too bland. Everything now looks very alive, like it was once real, now in a disaster situation. Only problem with it is that I can make the level design, or the actual direction you're supposed to go in, kind of unclear, which is... It's always a little bit of a problem, but, you know, it's certainly passable. If you get a bit scrambled around, then you might take a while to find the proper route, but otherwise, you'll be on track. One thing that I found very impressive, though, was the weapons. I got to try about 4 weapons. There was the Bullseye. If you played the original Resistance, you know about that. Basically an assault rifle. A rocket launcher, the Magnum, and just some human rifle that no one cares about. All the weapons have great personality, and like the first Resistance, they all just kick way back when you fire them. It looks awesome. It gives this real sense of power. The only problem is I wasn't using a DualShock 3, so I couldn't feel it. Oh, and by the way, that Magnum that actually shoots exploding bullets, great fun, lots of strategy. A few complaints I do have, though. For one, I found the graphics just aren't really what they should be. Art direction-wise, it looks fantastic, and on a technical level, it doesn't look bad. It's just that everything looks very kind of muddy and jagged. I wasn't too fond of the look there. Also, the AI wasn't very impressive, really. Maybe it was because the environments didn't really lend themselves to the enemies taking cover, but on the whole, they would just endlessly run up to us while firing when they could have just kept their distance and achieved pretty much a similar effect. But yeah, so Resistance 2, great fun. If you liked the original, check this out, you'll definitely like it. If you didn't like the original, I actually suggest you do try it, because as I mentioned, I didn't like the original, I love this one. Or not love this, just enjoy it. Anyways, next in line, Mirror's Edge. As a person who actually does parkour a little bit in real life, this has been something I've been eyeing a lot, and now that I tried the demo, I'd have to say I'm impressed, but it has quite a few very big flaws. For those of you who don't know what parkour is, it's basically free running. So if you've ever played the Prince of Persia Sands of Time trilogy, then you know about that. Basically, you're using your acrobatics and speed to get from point A to point B, and it's usually involving building jumping. And that's really what Mirror's Edge is. You are running from one building to another, climbing fences, sliding under poles, and it's great fun. And it's all set up in a very good, intuitive manner. Basically, because it's all done in a first-person perspective, the left stick is to move, right stick is to look around. For the PlayStation 3 controller, which I tried, L1 is to jump, L2 is to crouch and slide, and R2 is to punch. That's about the basics. And I know I mentioned punching, which means that there's combat in the game. I didn't try any firearms, I wanted to see how far my speed could take me. On the whole, combat is really just to break up the action. You really just run up and then just hit the guy 3 times and he's down. Lots of people would say that that's way too simple and way too easy. I agree, but it's for the better, because really the point of this game is it's you versus the environment, not you versus gun-toting bad guys like every other game out there. So the combat has good direction, however, it doesn't really fix the game's biggest flaw, or none of these really fix its biggest flaw, which is the fact that it does not play very well from a first-person perspective. Considering that this is a platformer at heart, a first-person perspective is not what we want. We want a wider angle, not a smaller angle. And there have been lots of moments where you basically can't look where you're going and see how close you are to an edge of a building at the same time. And considering that some huge jumps require you to get all the distance you need, that's an inexcusable flaw right there. There has actually been jumps which I did about a total of 16 times. Some of the times I actually died after I'd gotten it originally, and every time I thought that would have been so much more efficient if it had just been in third person. It gets even worse in close quarters, because when you're actually clinging onto a ledge, you're just staring onto a wall. When you do rolls, then it's still in first person, so the camera gets flipped over. It's very disorienting, really, for it to be in first person. There should be an option. If they make a sequel, hopefully it will be in third person. It's understandable first person. It makes it more immersive and more interesting to look at, but even still. Finally, the art direction is fantastic in that game. Everything has a very clean look. Most of the game is a white or a silver, giving everything a very kind of clean, almost glowing look to it. But on top of that, the level cleverly makes use of the color red, which points you in the right direction. And considering that it has a very big scope, this game, it's always good that they have a sense of direction. And it means that more of your focus is simply on figuring out what to do very quickly and getting the best time possible, rather than looking around scrambling for the next possible place to go. Anyways, Mirror's Edge, great effort, lots of fun to play, would have played a lot better in the third person. Anyways, Gears of War 2, this was by popularity probably the biggest thing at this entire show. At all times there was at least a 7-minute lineup to get in. At one time it was a 25-minute wait. It was insane. I only got to try one mode, which is Horde. It's basically a multiplayer mode. You team up with 4 other people, and you just have to survive wave after wave of enemies, and it's actually lots of fun. Part of the thing that makes it lots of fun is the enemy variety now. You have little dog-like locusts that run towards you and die after a few hits, but they storm you. You got regular locusts with like shotguns, sniper rifles. Then you got these really big guys with grenade launchers, guys who have all this armor on and carry a cleaver towards you. It's great variety now, and it really keeps things interesting. What's also so impressive is that the AI is amazing. It's some of the best I've ever seen. They don't just run towards you, they will flank, they will take cover. If they realize they're outgunned, they will take cover and make you come to them. And probably what's most impressive is that they actually look for the safest route to get to you, not just the fastest one. That one really impressed me. Now, this mode actually takes place in the regular multiplayer arenas, and if you played the original Gears of War, you know that they all are based around a circular design, and the enemies handle great in that. They don't have... Because the single player, it's a linear design, so that makes sense. It's easier programming for that. But in this case, they actually work great for the circular design. However, the actual map designs, I don't know, they could have been a bit more intuitive for this game mode. It's very difficult to explain why. It just seems like some small tweaks would have been good, just to make the overall experience better. Anyways, if you played the original Gears of War and you liked it, you will like this. If you didn't like it, you won't like this either. However, what's good, though, is the graphics. The original Gears of War was very well known for its graphics. It had fantastic detailing. This one really takes things a step further. It doesn't use a whole lot more polygons, but everything looks much less glossy. Everything has much more definition. There's a lot more color now, which is always great, considering that the entire game was essentially brown and gray. So yeah, Gears of War 2, plenty of fun. Anyways, Guitar Hero World Tour. As we all know, now has a bass guitar, a regular guitar, a singer, and, well, a drum kit. In other words, it's Rock Band. And really, I played it, and that was the first thing I thought. Did I just play a Rock Band? It played very similarly. The set list is almost identical to Rock Band 2, which really bothered me. Yeah, and also one thing I didn't like, the art direction seems to have lost its edge. It seems way too cartoony. The characters seem to lack attitude now. So if you liked the personalities in the original ones, I mean, all the characters are there, but they all seem to be lacking something. Anyways, it's not a bad experience by any means, but really I can review the instruments. First of all, the guitars are fantastic now. They are much bigger, much heavier, much meatier. But on top of that, the strum bar, it no longer makes that clicking noise, but it also creates a clicking feeling. So it's a perfect guitar, it doesn't create any background noise, but at the same time it's satisfying to click, and it's not like the Rock Band guitar where it feels too squishy. Also the drums are a lot of fun to use. If you played Rock Band originally, it'll be kind of awkward at first. Once you get into it, it feels a lot more like regular drums, much more natural, and you really feel like you can just hit these things. They will never fall over. They're just that sturdy. Anything else? I unfortunately didn't get to try the music editor. Actually, no one got to try it, so, and that's really the big feature that's selling it for me. So, I don't know, at $210, if you already own Rock Band, is it really worth it to buy Guitar Hero 4? I don't know. I didn't try very much of it, so really I can't be one to judge. Anyways, Little Big Planet. I will get this out of the way right now. The level editor is great. That is the big sell for this game, but I've been thinking this whole time, how is it going to play as a platformer? Because really the best level editor on the planet is not worth anything if the platforming and the gameplay just is broken. So that's why I went out to test in Little Big Planet, and the platforming, I would say, is good. It nails the spot, it does everything that it needs to, and pushes things a little bit. It's very charming, very simple, quite fun, and it's really brought out in the co-op play. Like, I just teamed up with this random person who's also playing, and we had to use a seesaw so we could get to a higher ledge. So we both got to one side of it, making it tilt over. Then I ran up to the higher end and jumped off to the higher ledge before it could rebalance. Then I pushed a cube over to him, he pushed it onto that ledge, he jumped up, and the co-op play works very seamlessly, very simple in design, but it's fun. It's fun to always just team up with people. So yeah, Little Big Planet, the platforming, plays great. What else did I notice? I feel like there's one thing I'm missing. Yeah, it was a very small show. It turns out that really is everything I saw. I unfortunately didn't get to play the Conduit or anything. I was hoping that would be there. So yeah, the Best Buy Gaming Invasion, lots of fun. I'm sorry if you missed it. Anyways, that was my opinion on these games. I hope I filled you in, left you reassured or, well, disappointed, and if that's the case, I'm sorry. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be a pretty good year for gaming. This is Bonfire 300. Good night.